Hi everyone, my name is Greg Camacho, and this is my Exploring Basic Storytelling. My wife and I have been married for 13 years and have three boys. For the most part, we're like a well-oiled machine. We understand our ins and outs. We've experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. But things weren't always so easy for us, especially in our first year of marriage. Before children, before we knew our ins and outs. It took a lot of studying on both our parts, studying our likes and dislikes, listening and speaking to each other about our habits and quirks. Over the first year of marriage, we learned a lot about one another. We've compiled an anthology of stories, some funny and some not so much. One such a story I titled Swapped Medication. And yes, as horrifying as that title sounds, that day was humorously just as horrifying for me. You see, at the risk of sounding like a cliche, I'm horrible at being sick. Hardly ever getting sick doesn't stop me from crawling into bed and feeling as if I lost it all, even when it's as simple as a cold. But one morning, during our first year of marriage, I woke up with more than just a cold. I woke up with the flu. And even as much as I hate being sick, I hate taking medication. So I just laid in the couch all day, making my wife listen to me whine and complain about my head, my neck, my throat. My wife, she was a saint that day, and she catered to every babyish complaint I had. Later that afternoon, I just couldn't take it anymore. I felt like I was on my deathbed, and I felt like I was never going to get better. I knew I had some medication in the kitchen, and I wrestled with the idea of taking them. And finally, in a desperate attempt to get rid of this horrible feeling I had, I called on my wife and asked her to bring me a glass of water and some NyQuil we had in the kitchen. I just wanted to feel better. After taking the medication, I laid on the couch watching some TV. I desperately wanted this medication to kick in. And eventually it did. Unfortunately, the medication seemed to be making my heart race. As you can imagine, feeling the way I did, having my heart racing and feeling like I was going to jump out of my own skin was completely the opposite reaction I wanted. So I called my wife, who by that time was probably tired of listening to me complain. And I asked her, "What kind of pill did you give me?" She said, "I gave you the orange NyQuil pills that we had in the kitchen." I wanted to cry, and I softly told her, "Were there any dark NyQuil pills?" She answered, "Yeah." With tears in my eyes and feeling like I had just finished drinking a pot of coffee, I told her she gave me the Dayquil instead of the NyQuil. Needless to say, that was a really long night for me. And I walked away with the lesson: always get up to get your own medication.